that I have, everyone like yourself or the chief are in the central and the rest of the members are all on the bottom. Is there an adjustment of screen or?
There should be a layout option and you want to go to grid. Do you see layout up towards the top?
I'm trying. I don't want to mess around here and lose anybody. So, okay, go ahead and try to get hold of Commissioner Morgan. Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Commissioner Covington.
Did you see it, Commissioner Nakajo?
Yeah, I see all of you, but you're on the bottom, on my bottom.
If you go to at the top of your WebEx app, there should be a button that says layout somewhere. And if you,
Well, it doesn't say layout. There's a little icons that I nervously don't recognize. So,
like it's boxes, like
yeah,
boxes.
it's a little circle, and then one has all these little boxes. One has like a explanation in a circle, and the other one's just diagrams. It looks like.
Morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Commissioner Morgan. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Morgan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Morgan.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning,
We have a quorum.
Greetings.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning. And hello, Matthew Yan. Hey, Matt, can you check your email? I just sent you something.
Yes, Chief, I will. Great.
Thank you.
That. Thank you.
Are we waiting for the court reporter, Maureen?
Bradley is City Attorney Yang representing the city this morning.
Yes, sir. I'm here on behalf of the department. Yes.
Thank you.
This is Eddy McCue. I'm here, but I'm trying to get this thing on my computer, and so I'm having a little technical difficulty. There, can you see me? I'm trying to get on my phone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Firefighter McCue, our commission secretary is trying to make sure that you get in.
All right, I'm in. I'm here, right? Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yes, we can hear you, but not see you.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do this on my computer. I'm trying to do this on my computer because it's kind of hard.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Now we can see you. You're wearing a blue t-shirt, right?
I am.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Can you see us?
I can see some of you, but some stuff spinning around. I'm connected to Wi-Fi. I'm trying to get onto my computer, but
Okay, now you're gone.
okay.
Now you're back.
You guys want me to just come down there? I'm like 10 minutes away.
We're meeting virtually.
Okay.
Okay, we've got the court reporter.
Hi, everybody. I apologize. I was here. I'm like, I'm here. I couldn't join as a panelist. The link wasn't working for me, so I do apologize.
Are we ready to get started then?
I'm sorry. I need just a second to mark everybody who's here.
Okay.
I was trying to get connected, so I'm sorry. I'm just a second late.
Maureen,
Hey, Matthew, can you send me what I just asked for? That'd be great. Thanks.
Maureen, did we need to put Firefighter McCue's representative in as a panelist? I believe you.
Is he signed on?
Is it Sam Gebler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that person in the attendees
The
list.
attendee. Okay, let me go down
And then sorry, I'm not a lawyer. When can I ask Maureen? Are you there?
Yes, hold on 1 second. I'm
Okay.
bringing your.
Oh, it's fine. He's just gonna read a statement at the end, hopefully.
Who, your representative?
Yeah, I'm representing myself. He's just gonna be here to read a statement. That's all.
Okay, so I just made him a panelist, so he is now in.
Okay, great. When is the proper time for me to ask for the evidence that I sent in yesterday to be submitted as evidence? Because I didn't hear about my motion to compel ruling until 2:00 on Friday. So basically, I didn't hear what the ruling on my motion to compel, so I didn't even know what the evidence was going to be until 2:00 on Friday. So I needed to add more evidence. It's all stuff from the department. It's nothing crazy. But I'd like to submit it as evidence, and I sent the email yesterday.
Firefighter McCue, this is Vice President Steve Nakajo. I'm going to be the proceeding officer for this. We will answer your question, but I need to get on the record and start this proceedings.
Okay, sorry, I don't know this technical stuff. Thank you, Commissioner.
That's fine. That's fine.
And I'm ready when you're ready, Vice President.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Court Reporter. Madam Secretary, now that we have all the parties.
Okay, we will call this meeting to order. This is the Fire Commission special meeting, February 28th, 2022, and the time is 9:08. This meeting is being held by WebEx pursuant to the governor's executive orders and mayoral proclamations declaring the existence of a local emergency. During the coronavirus disease emergency, the Commission's regular meeting room at City Hall is closed, and meetings of the Fire Commission will convene remotely. To join the meeting, use the link posted on the agenda, or to participate during public comment, please call 1-415-655-0001 and use access code 2498-200-9529. Members of the public will have opportunities to participate during public comment. The public is asked to wait for the particular agenda item before making a comment on that item. Comments will be addressed in the order they are received. When the moderator announces that the commission is taking public comment, members of the public, raise your hand by pressing *3 and you will be queued. Callers will hear silence when waiting for your turn to speak. Operator will unmute you. When prompted, callers will have the standard 3 minutes to provide comment. Ensure you are in a quiet location, speak clearly, and turn off any TVs or radios around you. Item 1, roll call. President Catherine Feinstein is excused. Vice President Stephen Nakajo.
Present.
Commissioner Francie Covington.
Present.
Commissioner Ken Cleveland is no longer a member of the Fire Commission. And Commissioner Army Morgan.
Present.
Will we do introductions for others that are now present?
Let me go ahead and just do the introductions formally, Madam Secretary. I am Vice President Steve Nakajo. I will be the proceeding officer for today's hearing on the verified complaint. Joining me, as it has been introduced, is Commissioner Covington, Commissioner Morgan, and we will also at this particular point have all of the members who are present identify themselves.
Chief Janine Nicholson and Attorney Matthew Yan from the City Attorney's Office.
Hello, yes, Deputy City Attorney Matthew Yan for the department.
Fire Commission Secretary Maureen Conifrey.
Deputy City Attorney Brad Rusty, counsel to the Fire Commission.
May I have the rest of the members, please?
Eddy McCue.
Sam Gebler, Director, Local 798.
Eddy McCue, firefighter.
And the court reporter.
Sarah McDevitt, court reporter.
Okay. We will go on to item 2, case number 2021-16, hearing and deliberations on verified complaint filed with the Commission by Chief of Department. On November 3rd, 2021, Chief of Department Janine Nicholson filed a verified complaint with the Fire Commission against member for a non-disciplinary separation. This case may be heard in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B and San Francisco Administrative Code Section 67.10B. Item A, public comment on special meeting agenda item. Possible closed session. Members of the public may comment on all matters pertaining to agenda item 2 and whether to consider the matter in closed session. Government Code Section 54954.3A and Administrative Code Section 67.15B.
Madam Secretary, members of the public, members of the hearing, as an initial matter, we must determine whether the evidential hearing will proceed in open or closed session. Section 7B of the procedural rule provides the member have the right to have the hearing on the appeal or verified complaint held in an open session subject to Section 7D, which allows the commission to hold some or all of the hearing in closed session for reasons such as third-party privacy rights or whether disclosure of certain information is prohibited under the law. At this time, Firefighter McEwen, what is your pleasure in terms of this particular hearing? Is it an open or closed session?
Oh, open, please, Commissioner. And my last name's McCue, but it's close to McEwen, but whatever. It doesn't bother me, but just for the record.
Thank you very much for that correction. I appreciate that. Did you say McCue?
McCue, in the old country, it was HUGH, but then they changed it to MCCUE. So I don't care. I'm just saying.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Firefighter. At this particular point, does the department have a response?
The department has no objection.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Yang. The hearing will be held in open session. At this particular point, the hearing is in open session. Do we have a motion from the commissioners in terms of this request in terms of open session or closed session? And that the
Commissioner-
following, yes,
Commissioner Brad Rusty, City Attorney's Office. We don't need a motion to stay in open session at this point, but we do need to, the commission will consider later whether to deliberate in closed session, and that motion can be made after the hearing is concluded. But we need to go back and allow there to be public comment first before we move forward. And so the public comment is on everything related to this agenda item, including the closed session question.
all right, thank you for that clarification, Mr. Rusky. I was going to ask about the deliberation in closed session, but I will wait. Did we not do public comment, Madam Secretary? If not, can we do that at this time?
Yes, we do have public comment.
All right, the member of the public can give.
Okay. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would. Good morning, commissioners. I've been watching some of these fire commission hearings, and I've noticed what I would interpret as kind of jokes or easing of the moment that have been thrown around and by commissioners, which I won't name, but I feel the level of insensitivity and a level of unprofessionalism in the light of what is going on to these firefighters who work through a pandemic and bravely went out every day to serve this community and didn't have the luxury of staying home. So in light of what happened, or what I felt what happened should be refrained from for the entirety of these commission hearings. And also just hearing through your discussions now, I also want to bring up the concern about Commissioner Cleveland, and will it be more insight onto his departure? I thought he brought up valid points before his departure. Thank you.
Thank you, member of the public. Madam Secretary.
Yes, hold on one moment. Caller, would you like to make public comment? Hello, caller, would you like to make public comment? Mr. Arata,
Yeah,
would you like to make public comment?
I would. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you now. Your
All
time
right,
starts
thank you.
now.
Perfect. I have 3 minutes, I see. So thank you for your time for listening. I'm going to come out here and be very transparent and open with you. I'm a firefighter here in the Bay Area in San Jose, California. I've been there for 16 years. My family, before I moved down to the South Bay, was a third generation in San Francisco in the Excelsior district. So San Francisco holds a deep heart for me. I'm calling in today to support Board of Commission to roll back the mandate and allow the firefighters to work. We have people across the Bay Area in certain cities. Some cities in the Bay Area do not have a mandate at all, are continuing to work. Firefighters, first responders, nurses, doctors, they are working. They are not spreading COVID to the community. And now, as you've seen, we're moving through the pandemic. We're getting to a point where we are at the final phase of it. But we're still holding firefighters accountable to act and mandate vaccination and not have medical or religious exemptions approved. And the city of San Francisco has failed to allow that to happen. It's frustrating to see the brothers and sisters that serve the community save lives, risk their lives, jeopardize not coming home to their families, put on unpaid leave, or even possibly terminated. I highly advise that you all dig deep down into your hearts, consider what you're doing to the men and women that serve you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It'd be nice to see the city of San Francisco, one of the most beautiful cities in the country and the world, roll itself back and lead by example. There are many cities across the United States right now that are doing the same. It would be great if you did the same for your firefighters, your police officers, your sheriffs, any frontline workers that are losing their careers over this. I don't know how you would feel if you were put out on the streets. I'm assuming you would feel just like us. Thank you. It's completely disheartening what's happened to the frontline workers. And even though I work for a major city in the Bay Area that's south of San Francisco, I'm in the same boat. This is destroying the fire service across the country. It's destroying the police service across the country. And these are the people that are there for you all the time. So please talk to yourselves, think about the ramifications of what you're doing to our livelihood, and take the time to do that today. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Okay, your time starts now.
Hello, I'm an anonymous concerned citizen. I've watched some of these commission meetings in the past and decided to follow these hearings. I never thought I would call in to make a public comment, but after watching these last few hearings, I had to do all I could to voice my concerns. I'm disgusted by what I've seen and heard from almost everyone involved in the decision-making process. After hearing Commissioner Cleveland's questions, in one of the hearings, I decided to take a look at the health order that you all are standing behind. Have you all read the entire health order? If you haven't, that's a crying shame. Read it in its entirety and look at the options available to accommodate these firefighters. The health order gives you the ability to do so, including entering high-risk settings, and it's based on health and science. You have an obligation and a duty to do so for the citizens of this city. You are being misled by the city attorney and the fire chief. You have the authority to grant them accommodations or at least direct the fire chief to come back with some better options than see you later. You have the opportunity and you have the duty to hold the department accountable as a citizen commission. This whole thing is starting to look like politics or attacks on certain faiths and personal beliefs, and I really hope that is not the case, especially for such a diverse and inclusive city like San Francisco. You have the opportunity to protect these firefighters' livelihoods, their families' livelihoods, their faith, and their professions, and at the same time keeping this city safe with experienced firefighters during a staffing shortage, regardless of what their personal religious beliefs may be. Every single minute of these hearings should be made public, and that includes your closed-door deliberations, especially if these people request it. Firing these people should never have been an option, especially now as we enter the endemic phase of this virus. If you move forward with separating all these firefighters, you will cast a stain on the reputation of this fire department, this administration, and this city for a very long time. And that stain will only grow as we look back on policy decisions that were made during this pandemic. It's time to right the ship. Ask the right questions, get the right answers, and make the right decision within your authority and within the guidelines of the health order. I relinquish my time.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I do.
Your time starts now.
Thank you very much. My name's Sean Chatfield. Work for the San Francisco Fire Department. Against my will, on August 5th, I received the COVID-19 vaccine. I did it because I have 3 beautiful children and a wife that I need to provide for. Within a week of receiving the vaccine, I experienced night sweats, body aches, chills, fever. I lost 15 pounds. 7 days after, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning with a feeling like my heart was going to pound out of my chest. I immediately called the physician's office. The next morning, got into a workers' comp doctor. They did blood work, x-rays. I had microcarditis, had a major cardiac event at age 35. All right. Just 30 minutes ago, I received an email from your HR department stating that my medical exemption for a booster is denied. So now I'm put into a position where I either receive another vaccine and potentially die or lose my job and my ability to support my children. How much sense does that make? The other day, you fired a man named Tom Daggett, an American hero, a patriot, a man who spent 20 years of his life defending the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. He did not care whether you were white, black, what your religion was, where you were from, how you grew up, where you grew up, what your belief system was. His patriotism gave this fire commission the ability to even have this meeting right now. All right? You people need to open up your eyes. Why is Ken Cleveland not on here when he's asking normal questions? Why is he outed? Why am I put in the position to either have a major cardiac event or lose my job? That makes zero sense to me. I had never thought it would come to this, but this is absolutely ridiculous where you're asking me to choose between taking a shot or losing my job and my life. And Chief Janine Nicholson wants to sit here and say that they have plans in place to help people. After I had my cardiac event, not one member from the command staff contacted me. Not one member from the physician's office contacted me to see how I was doing. For 3 months, the city and county put me off on disability with an adverse reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine.
Your time is up,
and
sir.
No one called to check.
Your time is up.
Yeah, better end that one quick.
Caller, you have 3 minutes. Did you want to make public comment?
Yes, I do.
Your time
My
starts.
name is Michael Crotty. I'm a San Francisco fireman. What we are witnessing here is political retaliation for stances on autonomy. They have been given over to your commission to be executed because of their sincerely held beliefs. You who sit on this council were ordered to end the career of those who you govern over, but don't forget also tasked with defending. You hold the futures of these fine people in your hands. Please handle this situation as if it were your own careers or those of your own children. Please do not be influenced by the political storm outside your doors. They risk their lives to save others. That is thrown around too flippantly these days. Do you know what caliber of person would risk their own life to save yours? Will you yourselves now risk everything to save one or all of them? I believe the balance of power is lopsided in this situation. You are the judges and juries of people who put their everything on the line for those they do not know, not because their lives are worth less, but that they value others' lives above their own. That's incomprehensible to the average citizen. These firefighters have families that pray they return home after their shift. Some tragically do not. Please fulfill your duties and be the protectors of these defenseless heroes as if there's no one coming to save them. They right now are in a fully engulfed fire, and you must go in and drag them out to safety. Today you can be our heroes. They are at your mercy. They have run out of air in a fire, and you are the only ones that can rescue them for certain death. You don't have to disobey a health order, but you can demand that they are afforded the same allowance as 99% of all fire departments in this country. Give them the ability to mask a test so that they may live to fight another fire and to save another life. This isn't a job. It's a vocation, a passion, a commitment, and servitude to the fine people of the great city of San Francisco. Everyone has a time in their lives that comes to a crossroads. This might be yours. I can only imagine what tremendous stress this puts on your hearts and minds. If this atrocity isn't the last thing you think of before you close your eyes, then I may have wasted my breath. And you will have done what you've been told to do here. I suspect Commissioner Cleveland had trouble falling asleep under the weight of what he was tasked with, and I hope that he resigned in protest and wasn't fired by the mayor for not following through with her execution orders. We may never know the truth of that, but you know very well the truth of that. Please, I implore you to use your hearts as well as your minds in this monumental moment. This may define the rest of your lives, as your decision will absolutely define the rest of these firefighters' lives. Make it count, your job. breathe the fresh air of truth and justice.
Excuse me,
and
sir,
free
your time
yourselves.
is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your 3 minutes starts now.
Good morning. My name is Ben Landis, San Francisco fireman. I just want to call. After listening to some of these hearings, I'm hearing it just goes back to the science doesn't matter. I keep hearing that from the lawyers, the left cover. Science doesn't matter. The bottom line is they disobeyed an order. Well, these GOs were put in place based off science at the time that thought that these vaccines were going to stop the spread of the virus. That has been proven to not be true since then, with hundreds of firemen in our department that have been sick, including our own chief who got COVID after being vaccinated. So laws are able to change based off science. You guys have the power to step in and work on changing these laws that are wrong. Let me point out, many times in history, let's not forget that there was laws and regulations and rules that said certain people or people of certain demographics, sexual choice, women, all kinds of rules that were wrong, and people stood up and for and by, regardless of what the general populace said, they stood by these people and fought for their rights, and because it was right. Those laws were changed, and thankfully, all of you are sitting where you are. If you really think and look around at each other, everybody, the majority, all sitting there because somebody stood by you at one point in time. Now it's your time. Now it's your time to stand by these people, firemen, that would openly and willingly give their lives, run into any emergency situation, into your home, not knowing who you are, not caring who you are, not caring what you look like, not caring what your sexual preference is, not caring about anything except for saving your life. I bet you really think about it. You have any family members? You have any friends that would truly do that aren't police, fire, or military? Do you really have any friends like that? Seriously ask yourself, search yourself. So I challenge you guys all to stand up for what's right, as we all do as firemen, as we all do to protect this community. It is your job. Your position is to protect us. And now it's your position to stand up by us, just as so many in the past and throughout history have stood by you and your beliefs and everything that has made you and where you are today. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Okay, your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Carl Bishovic. I retired on October 13th, 2021, under duress because of the vaccine mandate. I've listened in on some of these hearings. I've been appalled at the lack of concern for the members that you're terminating. If you've been listening really carefully, you should be able to see that these firefighters have a very high degree of integrity, intelligence, respect, and honor. Those are the characteristics that make excellent firefighters. Think about it. Why would anyone give up the career of their dreams, which they had worked very hard to obtain and maintain? Why would they subject themselves and their families to so much stress to become unemployed? Because of conspiracy theories? Politics? Are they insubordinate rebels who are dangerous to themselves and others? I'm asking each and every one of you to think about this very carefully, even though your minds are already made up. Some of you can still hear that little voice deep inside of you telling you that this is wrong on every level. This whole thing is an absolute travesty. I'm not sure, honestly, if I feel more sorry for these firefighters or for you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would, please. Thank you.
3 minutes starts now.
My name is Christopher Salas. I attended every hearing. I'm a retired San Francisco firefighter under duress, October 13th, same as Carl. I'm a native San Franciscan, and I still live in San Francisco to this day. Chatfield didn't say anything to one of the first callers. He's a Marine, served the country honorably. I also would like to know what happened to Commissioner Cleveland as he stood by us and brought up something in the health order that none of you have brought up or have given an option for. Even the chief knows about it, I'm sure, to test as we come to work. If we have a negative test when we come to work, that's proof positive that we don't have COVID and we can go into high-risk settings with our full PPE, which we did for over a year and a half before these vaccines came out that don't even work. The efficacy of the vaccine is nil as COVID spread throughout the department after we were no longer part of it. And 2 months later, the department started testing vaccinated employees. That seems mighty strange to me that they were tested and the unvaccinated cannot be tested. Nowhere in the health order does it say to wear a mask for 24 hours, only in high-risk settings. The firehouse is not a high-risk setting. The dorm is not a high-risk setting. The shower is not a high-risk setting. And I believe the chief knows that. I've heard that it was about money, that we couldn't have a test for the unvaccinated firefighters. I do not believe that to be true. The city spends $60,000 per tent in the homeless camps. The city pays the hotels like they're full without being full. And they also pay for alcohol, hypodermic needles, and drugs for the homeless people that they keep in the hotels. So that being said, none of you have to go against the health order for all of us to have our jobs back. Because the health order gives the opportunity not only for a religious exemption, which we were all denied, which I feel is discriminatory and retaliatory, but it also gives the option for testing. That is one of the easiest things to do, and it's being done for the vaccinated, which is that's also discriminatory and retaliatory. How are they allowed to be tested and the unvaccinated fire is not? So to me, that's a travesty of the whole situation. I also, like Carl, pray for all of you, pray that your hearts are opened to realize that, yes, you can make a different decision than the city attorneys tell you you can. And it's almost incumbent upon you to do so. These firefighters are brave, courageous people, and they put the citizens of the city and county of San Francisco above everything. We have and we always will. So, hey, God bless everybody today. God bless you.
Your time is up. Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Okay, your 3 minutes starts now.
San Francisco is in the worst shape that it's ever been in its history of San Francisco. And why? Who's in charge? Who's in charge of the city? A criminal. Someone who has taken bribes. Someone who lied about whereabouts the night he killed his fiancée. We all know this. Dare she tell us what to do when she can't even wear her own and obey by her own laws about wearing masks? All is corrupt. We know the firefighters. We know the police officers that have been on all these calls. How dare you? You all are guilty. I hear about people waiting for ambulances for an hour while they're having heart attacks. You want to get rid of people that are willing to sacrifice their lives, their livelihood? So because she said so? The corruption in City Hall. and the board that we're witnessing right now is despicable. The no news coverage. And I just want to, and I pray that one day that we will see the light. And God bless these firefighters. Shame on you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Your 3 minutes starts now.
My name is Susan Abbott. I'm a native San Franciscan, and I think that
Miss Abbott, we have lost you.
going on right now is this is a test of character of the members of this commission. I implore you to go back and look at the oath that you took. Everybody takes an oath, and you were. Hear me? Hello?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, I got a couple of calls right there. And so I implore you all to uphold your oath. The fire department is a paramilitary operation there. It's structured that way. So about disobeying order and all that comes into play. But your oath overrides all of that technicality and procedure. And the linchpin seems to be here that we're in this health emergency and that we're trying to protect others by not allowing these unvaccinated firefighters to continue in their job. But that actually has no basis in reality. Disneyland is open. All kinds of communities are wide open. There's huge traffic jams on the Bay Bridge. That does not reflect a health emergency. And especially the fact that what's required of somebody when they go to work, fine. But with this vaccine, that goes into their body and it remains in their body when you leave, when you're not working as a firefighter. So this is a violation of the Bill of Rights. San Francisco does not have the ability to override the fundamental rights of your physical autonomy and informed consent. So this is a test of character. I don't know what goes on at City Hall. I don't know what all the relationships you guys have with each other and with other people in power, but this is a test of your individual character to look and see what is actually going on and to protect these firefighters from losing their jobs and their livelihood, which is you come out of your mother's womb and you've got to work to make a living. Okay, so this is very, very, very important and very wrong to allow them to lose their jobs over this. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe one more. Caller, did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, I did. Thank you. This is firefighter Tommy Daggett. Correction. I was firefighter Tommy Daggett. I was terminated by this commission and the fire chief last Thursday, which went effective on Friday evening at 5 o'clock Pacific. I am calling on behalf of Eddy McCue, really great man, San Francisco native, who started working in the city and then moved his way into the position of firefighter and has served very well. He's a loving husband and father, and just all around. Just so you know who he is, he's a really, really great guy, a hard worker and a professional. He's been charged with endangering the public, and I would like to remind everybody that's listening in that it is the San Francisco Fire Department's responsibility to provide a preponderance of evidence suggesting that Eddy McCue and follow on Jessica Lindsay, who's up for termination later this afternoon. The department is charged with serving a preponderance of evidence supporting their charge that these people are an endangerment to the city. I want everyone to keep their ears open to the evidence that they are an endangerment. Shifting gears a little bit, I just want to say publicly that I really appreciated during my termination hearing the request for transparency from former Commissioner Ken Cleveland. I thought that was very noble of him, and I too am hoping that somebody from this commission will shed some light on exactly why he is no longer a member of the San Francisco Fire Department Fire Commission. And then also I wanted to just say, I think that I've heard many times that this is out of, people saying this is out of our hands or it's out of my jurisdiction. The fire department has no jurisdiction. The fire commission has no jurisdiction. I feel like when power, money, title become your God, the answer is always going to be, it's out of my hands. Because you are not willing to take risks. If your priorities are mixed up, why would you give up a potential nugget or a little bit of your livelihood or put some undue stress on you in support of somebody whose livelihood is at stake? So to the chief of the department, we see you on these hearings, and I suspect that there's a little uneasy feeling in your stomach. And if there isn't, I'd be worried. But I want to tell you,
your time is
God loves you.
Caller, would you like to make public comment?
I would.
Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Rapport. I'll be brief. I'll be transparent. I'm a firefighter for a county down in the South Bay. I've lived in San Francisco. I just want you all to think about just the stress that this is causing the firefighters and that it's going to cause the public. I'm vaccinated. I got vaccinated, and Eddy here doesn't cause the public any more harm than I do, right? I got COVID after I was vaccinated. I could have given it to the public, but I didn't because we wear the proper PPE that protects ourselves and protects the public. The downside here is that the public is going to be having to really wear all of this on their sleeve because they're losing experienced firefighters. They're losing the correct amount of staffing on fire engines. And it certainly doesn't make financial sense because now we're going to have to train somebody, start all over to fill this person's spot with someone who's not as experienced. So financially, it doesn't help the public at all, the ones that are paying for their fire service. There's nothing about this that makes sense to the public. So even take away the fact that this is horrible for firefighters and firefighters' families. Take that out of it. Think about the public. This is not good for the public. This is dangerous for the public. If you can, forget about the firefighters, that's want to do, but you serve, they're the ones that are gonna have the challenges of making sure that when they call 911, they get someone experienced and they get the right number of people to show up. And if we let people go who have that experience because they're unvaccinated and pose the exact same risk as someone who's vaccinated, that doesn't make sense, does it? So I'd like you all to think about it and really think about the effect that this is having, not only on the firefighters and their families, but just from a public safety perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that is all of public comment. Let me just go down to the bottom here. Okay, that is the end of public comment.
Very much, Madam Secretary. Thank you all to the members of the public. Madam Secretary, I am now at the point of the procedure to narrate the pursuant to Rule 3D of the procedural rule, talking about exclusion of testifying witnesses. Mr. Russi, can I proceed on that? Am I in proper order?
Yes, you may move forward, Commissioner.
When do I make my motion to put the evidence in that I submitted?
I'm getting to that point.
All right, thanks. Sorry,
No.
Commissioner.
That's understandable. Let me get to this procedure point for the record. Pursuant to Rule 3D of the procedural rule, with the exception of parties and party representatives, all witnesses are excluded from commission discipline proceedings except when testifying until the witness has completed testifying and has been excused by the proceeding officer. The parties and their representatives may not disclose the content of a witness's testimony to other witnesses before those other witnesses testify and are excused by the proceeding officers. Any witnesses who is testifying is not party to the proceedings must exit the hearing at this time.
It's frozen for me. Anyone else?
Vice President Nakajo, I think your Wi-Fi may have failed.
I think we lost the president. Vice President.
Does anyone else?
Okay. Excuse me, Firefighter McCue, I was disconnected, so I'm going to start to proceed and then we'll get to your question, all right?
No, it's fine.
All right. I believe I was at any witness who testifies is not a part of the proceeding must exit the hearing at this time and after the witness has finished testifying. I will now go into the summary of procedure, hearing procedures, and filings. At this time, I will summarize the hearing procedures and identify the pre-hearing files. At this point, Mr. Rusky, I believe it's appropriate to entertain the firefighters' request after I read this first section pertaining to the department. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed in that if I don't hear any objection from you. We are in the receipt of the following pre-hearing filings, which we have reviewed. the department's pre-hearing statements with attached exhibits 1 and 2. And this is the point now where Firefighter McCue, I'm going to refer to you. The name of our particular member this morning, you want to be able to talk about your submittal dates and exhibit. Go ahead at this particular point and make your request verbally for the record.
All right, thank you. So basically, what I'm asking is I submitted some evidence late. The reason why I submitted evidence late was because I did a motion to compel more discovery. And I'm actually glad that City Attorney Yan is here because she's the one who called me a conspiracy theorist with a political agenda in the response. And I've never met the man, so I really appreciated that. But my ruling, Feinstein never ruled on that motion until 2 p.m. on Friday. Therefore, I didn't know what discovery I was allowed to have, what was going on. So it drastically changed my defense. The evidence I submitted is city documents from DHR, a couple emails. It's nothing crazy. I mean, it's stuff about my religious exemption process, and one email from the union, and like an email from the chief a couple years ago. That's it. I don't think it's too much to ask for. That's all.
All right. So, Firefighter, you are asking and requesting that you submit your materials that you submitted this morning via the email to myself as the hearing officer and the rest of the commissioners. That's what you're asking for. There was also a secondary request in there about extension of opening statement by a maximum.
Oh, yeah.
Minutes. Did you still want to pursue that?
Yeah, I never time myself reading this thing, my opening statement. And I hope it doesn't go more than 5 minutes because I know you guys have been listening to a lot of this stuff. So
okay, so
it might go over 5.
All right, so let me rule on both of those.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Rusky, in terms of the member's request of getting the request of information from the city attorney's office on Friday, I don't believe he was restricted to submit anything, but because of that particular situation, I'm going to allow that evidence to be submitted by the member. Do you have any?
Commissioner Brad Rusty, City Attorney's Office, just to clarify for the record, Firefighter McCue submitted a statement dated February 14th with some exhibits. I think it was exhibits A through L. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't need any of that.
So you don't intend to rely on any of those exhibits? Okay.
No.
So,
and the reason why, Mr. Rusty, is I'm sorry if I'm not communicating this right, but not knowing what I was allowed in discovery until Friday at 2 changed how I'm going to defend myself because I didn't know what was going to be afforded to me until then.
Okay.
Got it. So do each of the commissioners have the documents that were forwarded to you this morning, these later exhibits? Because
I did turn them in yesterday too.
Right. I know that they were emailed to the commissioners, but I want to make sure that they have them and that
it's kind of like an opening statement and the human resources document.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then a couple emails, like one email from the union. I did include, because I'm going to quote the 798 grievance as far as religious discrimination. What else do I got?
You also have a newsletter copy from the physician's office.
I do. I have my religious exemption again, even though that's part of the city's evidence. So I don't think there should be anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
The letter from the Archbishop. I mean, it's all stuff that was already included.
Okay, so let me try to proceed with this and ask Commissioner Covington if she was able to review it as well as Commissioner Morgan, and let me rule. Commissioner Covington, have you seen the material that the member submitted?
Well,
Okay.
I would like to have a little more time to complete what I was looking at. I hadn't expected that there was going to be new material. I spent my time reading this book. And I refuse to be distracted from making sure that I read the materials that were sent to us.
Okay.
So if we can have a short recess, I can go through all of the materials and make sure that I have read every word.
All right. So, Mr. Rusky, it's my tendency to the prerogative of the commissioner grant that request of a little time. Commissioner Covington, what, 5, 6, 7 minutes in terms of how you want to review this?
Yeah, 7 minutes would be fine.
All right, so I'm going to go into a recess break for 7 minutes to allow Commissioner Covington to read the materials, but I also will I will rule, Member McCue, that you will be allowed a maximum of 10 minutes, a little bit over your 5 to 7 minutes for your opening statement. Madam Secretary, members of the commission.
Excuse me, Mr. Vice President. Madam Secretary, how many pages did you send? Total.
I'll have to count them.
Just a ballpark is.
It's 5
6
pages.
Huh?
About 5 pages.
Oh, okay. Then I don't have much left to look at then. Okay.
So are we at 7 minutes then at this point?
Yes.
Terry, Ms. Gorski.
Because I like to make notes.
I'm going to go into a 7-minute break. What time does that mean, Madam Secretary, for us to return?
10:08.
10:08?
Yep.
All right. So we will return at 10:08. We're out right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see you. 16 minutes. Some very documents for evidence at hearing. I sent it out this morning. Yeah, for these meetings, I don't look at anything, because I don't.
All right, Madam Secretary, can you please alert me when we're back in and make sure the court recorder is available?
Okay, the court reporter's on. We're waiting for Commissioner Morgan and Commissioner Covington.
All right, we're not officially back in, but I do have a logistical issue that I need to deal with. At 11 o'clock, we're scheduled for a hearing, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. Looking at 10:09, and we're far within the process, so this is off the record. So we'll deal with it at some point. Just a warning. Thank you.
Yeah, Maureen, maybe you could, if you have a second, send an email to that member to let the member know that the meeting will likely start late. I believe she's actually on the list of attendees here, but it will likely start after 11 at some point. So
Yeah, I know that she did email this morning saying that I don't think she could do it much later than the 11 o'clock start time, but I'll check in with her.
All right, as soon as the commission secretary is ready.
Okay, I'm ready, and I think she can log on later, but no later than like noonish.
All right, commissioners, Madam Court Clerk, we're back in, please. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, commissioners, members of the public, the member. We will proceed with Commissioner Covington. You read the materials, and Commissioner Morgan has as well. I would like to rule of submitting, requesting approval of the request from the member to submit that as part of. And then, as I previously mentioned before the break, give the member a maximum of 10 minutes, over around 7 minutes, depending upon your time and preference to the member. So with that, I'd like to proceed.
I move that the exhibits be accepted as submitted.
Okay, Commissioner, I'm not sure if we need a motion on that, but I'll take that motion. I think it can be ruled upon myself as the hearing officer. Mr. Rusky, I'm looking for guidance within that if I need a second.
Yeah, no, that's right. These evidentiary issues are handled by the presiding officer. I don't know whether the department, we haven't actually gotten to the point where we need to move them into evidence yet. So, but I mean, at some point before the end of the hearing, we should accept them and take the department's objection if they have one.
All right, duly noted. Thank you for your advice. Thank you, Commissioner Covington. I'm going to start to continue with the review of the hearing procedure. I did mention, commissioners, that we have a hearing at 11 o'clock, and bearing the time is exactly 10:13, and we haven't even started the process. The member at the 11 o'clock hearing has a time limitation, and so we'll find out what that looks like. I'm going to proceed. I will now give an overview of the procedures for this hearing. Each party may present an opening statement. The member, McCue, may either present his opening immediately after the department presents its opening, or he may wait until he begins his case. I will ask at that point. The department will then present its case. The member, McCue, will then present his case, and the department may present rebuttal evidence. Each party may cross-examine the other witness. Closing arguments then will be presented by the department, followed by a closing argument by the member, McCue. Finally, the department may present a rebuttal argument. I'm going to proceed. Time limits. As stated in the commission scheduling letter, a maximum of 20 minutes of total hearing time be allowed for each party. in the evidential phase of this hearing, plus a 5 minutes for an opening statement, and 5 minutes for a closing statement. As duly noted, I gave the member an approval of a maximum of 10 minutes, hopefully around 7 minutes. I will equally offer that to the city attorney in terms of an opening statement extension of time if the city wishes to use that. Your 20 minutes runs anytime you are questioning a witness, but it is up to you to determine how much of that time to use. The secretary will keep a running account of each party's time. So the member, please be aware that the secretary will be running the clock during your time. Objections. Throughout the hearing, if a party has an objection to testimony or evidence being offered, the party should state the grounds for the objection. I will then allow opposing party to respond and will rule on the objection. I will then either sustain the objection, in which case the witness will not answer the question, or overrule the objection, in which case the witness may answer. In terms of breaks or recesses, if the parties need to take a recess, please let me know, preferably after examination of a witness has been completed, rather than the middle of examination, so we do not interrupt any flow of the hearing. At this time, are there any preliminary issues we need to address?
Yes, Vice President Nakajo. I just received pursuant to President Feinstein's order on the motion to compel further responses filed by Firefighter McCue. President Feinstein had ordered the department to present a witness for Firefighter McCue to question with regard to the decision on reasonable accommodations and the religious exemption. We have that witness available. She is attempting to log in, but she's receiving an error message saying that she's not on the list of panelists. I'm wondering what I should tell her to do.
Are you making a request, Mr. Yang, in terms of that member being part of a witness for the city?
No, no, she is not a witness for the city, and we are not using her as a witness. However, President Feinstein had asked that a witness be made available for Firefighter McCue to question when it's his turn to make his case. And so that witness is now available. She just can't get into the Zoom, into the WebEx.
She can't get into the WebEx. How then is she supposed to participate if the member wishes to question?
She is actually trying to get in. She was sent the WebEx invite. So I believe she's gone to talk to the IT people.
All right.
Okay, I will. Okay, well, we can revisit this issue when the city, well, just as a suggestion, perhaps we revisit the issue when the city rests to see if she's managed to get her way in.
All right, so Mr. City Attorney, is this an accommodation that President Feinstein wished to make to the member?
I don't know that I would call it an accommodation, but it was a partial grant of his motion.
All right. Do I need to proceed on any kind of a ruling, Mr. Rusky, on this? All right.
No, this is just a technical matter. So as long as she's able to connect to the meeting when it's her time to testify, everything should be fine.
All right. At this time, is it appropriate for me to ask the member about any preliminary issues?
Yes.
Mr. McCue?
No, I understand everything. I've been watching these, so I kind of get an idea how it goes.
Thank you very much. I'm going to proceed, everyone. Under Rule 11A of the procedural rules, we must take the member's plea. Does the member agree or disagree with the chief's stated reasons for requesting dismissal?
I disagree.
Okay, for the record, thank you. At this particular point, we're going to start moving towards opening statements. At this particular point, Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Yang, are you ready to proceed to opening statement?
Yes, however, I cannot see the secretary's clock. Oh, there we go. No, it's still off frame. If you wouldn't mind moving it a little to the right, I believe. Yes, I can see it now. Or at least the first digit. There we go.
Okay, if you're ready, Mr. Yang, please proceed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. Thank you, Firefighter McCue. Thank you to members of the public. The case you have before you today is a very simple one, and the facts relevant to this case are undisputed. Last year, the city's health officer issued Health Order C19-07Y, which requires all city employees who may enter or work in a high-risk setting to be fully vaccinated by October 13th, 2021. The health order was based on the health officer's determination that vaccination reduces the likelihood of spreading COVID-19 to high-risk communities who are at particular risk of illness or death, such as the elderly, the sick, and those who are not eligible for vaccines. It is undisputed that Firefighter McCue works in a high-risk setting. As a firefighter, his job reliably brings him into contact with the elderly, the sick, and others who may be at high risk of dying from COVID-19. It is undisputed that Firefighter McCue did not get vaccinated by the October 13th, 2021 deadline. Thus, given his refusal to comply with the city's health order or the general order issued by the chief of the department, McCue has left this commission with no choice but to subject him to non-disciplinary separation. Now, the health order does allow for certain exemptions. It allows for an exemption due to medical disability or sincerely held religious belief. It does not allow for exemptions based on personal belief. In addition, the health order anticipates that there may be situations in which a certain city department simply cannot accommodate an unvaccinated employee even with an exemption. For instance, employees who are required to come into contact with persons whose vaccination status is unknown or who are not yet eligible for the vaccine or who are members of a vulnerable population such as the elderly, incarcerated people, and acute care patients do not have to be accommodated. Employees who work in situations where the city cannot ensure compliance with the mask mandate whenever the unvaccinated employee is around other people in the workplace do not have to be accommodated. And in situations where an accommodation would create an undue burden because it is costly, infringes on other personnel's job rights or benefits, compromises workplace safety, decreases workplace efficiency, or requires other personnel to do more than their fair share of potentially hazardous or burdensome work, that employee does not have to be accommodated. In this case, the department determined that Firefighter McCue did not qualify for a religious exemption. What's more, the job of a firefighter is such that even if he did qualify, the risk that his unvaccinated status would pose to members of the public and his fellow firefighters still makes it impossible or impractical for him to continue in his job without being vaccinated. Thus, the department had no choice but to recommend Firefighter McCue's separation from his position. Now, Firefighter McCue may attempt to attack the findings in the health order by suggesting that the pandemic is not that serious or the vaccines are not that effective. But the validity of the health order is not at issue here. The California Health and Safety Code authorizes the health officer to issue health orders, and neither the department nor the commission has the legal authority to overrule or change her mandate. If Firefighter McCue believes the health order is bad science or bad policy, the place to make that case is in civil court or at the ballot box, not before this commission. Now, this hearing is not about whether Firefighter McCue is a good firefighter or whether he has served the city well, nor is it about his politics. The only question is whether Firefighter McCue has complied with a lawfully issued order of the city's health officer. The fact remains that Firefighter McCue was ordered to get vaccinated, but unlike 97% of other city employees, he chose to defy the order and the general order and remain unvaccinated. There is simply no way to accommodate his choice and still remain in compliance with the health order and keep the public safe. That left the chief with no option but to recommend a non-disciplinary separation. I urge the commission to uphold that recommendation and ensure that the department remains in compliance with a lawful city order and that the city of San Francisco remains a model of good governance and civic responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yang. Again, as a point of information, I have allowed that extra amount of time to the members, so you do have a few minutes remaining, I believe. If the time is maximum 10, would you like to issue any other statement at this point, or have you concluded?
I've concluded. Thank you, Vice President.
Thank you very much. At this time, Firefighter McCue, You have the opportunity to give your opening statement. Again, I allowed an extra amount of time beyond the 5 minutes to a maximum of 10 minutes, and that's what the secretary will use as a time. Firefighter McCue.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give my opening statement. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. Good morning, commissioners and all present. My name is Eddy McCue. I was born and raised in San Francisco and lived in the city every day of my life until last July. The threat of losing my beloved career and the only income for my family forced us to make a hard decision to move. My family has been in the city for generations and are all still here. I have a beautiful wife and 4 children. Like all parents, we adore. Let's be clear. In no way am I trying to change or not comply with the health order. I have complied by following in good faith the exemption process. I submitted a timely signed religious exemption request with a personal statement general order. I submitted supporting documentation from the Archbishop of San Francisco. I actively engaged in the process of religious exemption request by answering follow-up questions that were provided. I quoted religious texts and documents. I don't vaccinate my children. After all of this, I was found to not have sincerely held religious beliefs. Either a mistake was made or it's discrimination. I was informed the appeals process was through the union grievance, which I have complied with and is still pending. Please see the evidence I submitted. The city and the chief have failed to comply with its responsibility to uphold the health order by denying reasonable accommodations of masking and testing for unvaccinated employees with sincerely held religious beliefs. Section 6, Roman numeral 4, require any exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated to comply with the following. Get tested once a week and twice a week for all exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated in general acute care hospitals. At all times, the work site in the high-risk setting wear a face covering. They are a minimum safety requirement. For exempt personnel in high-risk settings, the health order is clear. Exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated are allowed to work in high-risk settings with masking and testing. This is undisputed. The idea the lawyer and chief are presenting that the unvaccinated cannot enter high-risk settings based on the health order is false. There are people working in high-risk settings in San Francisco right now with these accommodations. An overwhelming majority of fire departments in the Bay Area, California, United States offer and accommodate unvaccinated firefighters. How is SFFD so different? The position of the city and chief that we cannot be accommodated based on subsection A and section 6 of the fourth health order is false. As Commissioner Cleveland brought up before his untimely resignation, personnel who do not have COVID, i.e. a negative test and mask, cannot be a risk to coworkers and people in a high-risk setting, or at least not as much of a risk as anyone else who is not tested and possibly COVID positive. I don't think we need to be a health officer or a doctor to understand this. My 9-year-olds have this concept pretty much covered. This is common sense and allowed in the health order. I understand no one here cares, but I also was infected with COVID and recovered. According to the CDC, natural immunity might be something to consider. I have a confirmed natural immunity by T cell from prior symptomatic infection. There will be a doctor in here at some point to explain this, even though no one cares. Subsection B of Section 6 of the health order. The department has the ability to provide testing. In fact, they are doing that now. The department offers masking and testing to unboosted firefighters entering high-risk settings as we speak. I obviously support these unboosted firefighters, but they are by definition not up to date. Let that sink in. Please refer to the email and evidence. I will offer to pay for my own weekly testing for the opportunity to serve the residents and my family that live in San Francisco. Subsection C of the health order, compliance with mask mandate. We had this mask mandate while I was working the entire pandemic. The department ensured compliance then and can now. What changed after October 12th? Under the definitions section of the health order appendix A, the health order states, face covering requirements means a requirement to wear a well-fitted mask in indoor common areas of homeless shelters, except while sleeping, showering, engaged in personal hygiene, or actively eating or drinking. It also says in jails. I think it is worth noting that jails and homeless shelters are defined as high-risk settings per the health order. Firehouses are not. Even if they were, it might be reasonable to let us sleep or shower 6 feet away. Appendix A, Section 5, face coverings for unvaccinated people. Wearing a well-fitted mask is not required in any of the following situations. People may remove their well-fitted mask while actively eating and drinking. People may remove their well-fitted mask only while showering or actively engaging in personal hygiene at a gym, fitness center, or other facility. People may remove a well-fitted mask while sleeping in indoor spaces, indoor public settings. Please keep in mind, I would have a negative COVID test. I'm not sure where the logic or decency is in firing firefighters because the department can't watch us shower with a mask on. I prefer to shower alone. This argument is insulting and not supported by the health order as discussed. Subsection D, Section 6. The allowed and proposed accommodation of weekly testing and masking would not put a burden on coworkers, decrease workplace efficiency, or require other personnel to do more of their potentially hazardous work, because as the health order clearly states, I would be able to enter a high-risk setting and perform my essential duties. I would not compromise workplace safety with a negative test and mask. It would not be costly. I offer to pay for the weekly test myself. These are common sense, effective protocols allowed by the health order that would allow me to work and serve without violating my sincerely held religious beliefs. Proper PPE works. Please refer to the email from the chief dated Sunday, January 31st, 2021. 100 infections in 10 months. Vast majority of that time with 100% unvaccinated department. Please compare to the email from Department Physician dated February 2022. Mount Everest of surges, 361 workers' comp claims, mostly COVID, 100% fully vaccinated department. I bring this up not to argue the efficiency of the vaccines, but to merely observe that our protocols during the roughest time of the pandemic, which I worked without incident, were highly effective. We were not required to test to work. The added safety measure of testing the health order allows would add even more protection. I was not deemed to be religious enough by Jesusa or Lucy, so the attorney-in-chief will likely say I'm not even allowed to be accommodated. I believe after listening to my witness, it will be obvious that either a mistake was made in that determination or I've been discriminated against based on my religious beliefs. Do I have more time? Yeah?
Yes,
okay.
you've got 242.
Thank you. From the 798 grievance, the EEOC has instructed employers that it would not constitute an undue hardship for them to grant religious accommodations, exempting religiously objecting employees from employer-mandated COVID-19 vaccination programs. The rationale for this being is that employers can impose upon accommodating employees alternative health protections such as masking, social distancing, and periodic COVID testing. If an employer ultimately concludes it cannot grant accommodation, there are safeguards in place which the employer must satisfy before doing so. For reasonable accommodations, an employer must demonstrate is it attempted to accommodate an employee's religious belief before claiming it cannot do so, that it caused an undue hardship. Then they quote some legal cases. I don't know if that matters in this place. In addition, the employer has the burden of demonstrating undue hardship. Further evidence of undue hardship must be more than hypothetical and speculative. In the present instance, the city and department have failed to provide evidence to support its assertions that accommodating a handful of religious exemptions would pose a safety threat or prevent employees from performing essential functions or oppose undue hardship. A bunch of more, I guess these quotes with legal cases matter somewhere. I don't know. But the hardship is real rather than speculative, merely conceivable or hypothetical, and that undue hardship cannot be proved by assumptions nor opinions based on hypothetical facts. We are skeptical of hypothetical hardships that an employer thinks might be caused by an accommodation that have never been put into practice. The employer is on stronger ground when they have attempted various methods of accommodation and can point to hardships that actually resulted. Please remember, the burden of proof is on the city and chief. If the city calls a door a window, it's still a door. Thank you for your attention.
Very much. At this point, The department can call its first witness. Mr. Yang.
Thank you, Commissioner. The department calls Chief Janine Nicholson.
All right. Chief, we're going to have the court reporter do an official swearing, and then we'll proceed after the swearing in.
Okay.
Thank you. And I just want to remind all speakers that I am taking down testimony, so make sure you speak slowly and clearly. Okay, Chief, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give and the matter now pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Do you have the binder of exhibits in front of you?
I do.
Okay. I would like you to open that binder to the page bait stamped McCue 0007. For the benefit of the commission, the document you should be looking at is in Exhibit 1 and is the titled Order of the Health Officer number C19-07Y. Do you have that in front of you, ma'am?
I do.
Do you recognize this document?
I do. It is the health order from health officer regarding COVID-19 vaccine.
Have you reviewed this document before?
I have.
What did you understand to be the fire department's obligations under this health order?
That our members had to be fully vaccinated by October 13th last year.
Is the department obligated to comply with this health order?
Yes, we are.
Can the department ignore any of the requirements set forth in the health order?
We cannot.
Now, turning your attention to the page marked bait stamped 0009. I'm specifically pointing your attention to subparagraph K.
Okay.
Does the health order define what it means to be fully vaccinated?
It does.
And did the department rely on this definition to determine what it means to be fully vaccinated for its employees?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Now I'd like to turn your attention to the page bait stamped 18, McCue 18. And referencing this page, does the health order mandate certain rules for employees in high-risk settings?
It does.
Did you determine whether firefighters, such as Firefighter McCue, fell under the definition of an employee who works in a high-risk setting?
Yes, all of our members do.
And how did you reach that conclusion?
Our members, we don't necessarily know what call we're going to go on a daily basis, and we can enter a high-risk setting at any time. So that is why we consider everyone to work in a high-risk setting.
Is there any way that the department could guarantee that a firefighter would not enter a high-risk setting?
No.
And would it endanger?
No.
Your objection? State your objection.
I'm curious where in the health order it says someone who's unvaccinated cannot enter a high-risk setting. I believe what it says is that an exempt personnel can enter a high-risk setting.
I'm going to
with a weekly test and with a mask.
Yeah, I'm going to overrule that objection. You're going to have an opportunity to do a cross-examination as well.
Okay.
So let's proceed with this. Continue, please.
Thank you. Chief, would it endanger the operations of the department if you had to assign firefighters to emergencies based on their vaccination status?
Yeah, it would be logistically and operationally really problematic. If we had two people that weren't vaccinated and we had to leave them outside while the other two went inside to care for a patient, we can't operate that way.
Does the health order permit exemptions to the vaccination requirement?
It does.
And did you personally have any role in deciding whether any specific firefighter qualified for an exemption?
I did not.
Turning your attention now to the page bait stamped McCue 20-0020. I'm sorry, McCue 19-0019-20020.
Yes.
Now, based on your understanding of the health order, does the health order require the department to accommodate employees who request an exemption?
No.
Does the health order contain any guidance for helping you determine whether an employee who works in a high-risk setting can be accommodated?
Yes, it does.
Now, did the department make a decision on whether it was possible to accommodate unvaccinated firefighters?
Yes, we did.
And what decision did the department reach?
That we could not accommodate unvaccinated members.
To your knowledge, does Firefighter McCue, in the course of his duty, work with vulnerable populations, such as the elderly, incarcerated, or acute care patients?
Yes.
To your knowledge, does Firefighter McCue, in the course of his duty, work with populations whose vaccination status is unknown?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, is there any way for the department to ensure that Firefighter McCue wears a mask at all times while on duty?
No, there's no way to ensure that.
Okay. Now, I'd like to now turn your attention to the page that's been bait stamped McCue 43. And this is what you should be looking at is a document with the title San Francisco Fire Department General Order.
Yes.
So what is this document, Chief?
This is the department's vaccination policy based on a couple of different health orders.
Are all employees of the department required to familiarize themselves with this general order?
Yes, all of our employees are required to do so, to read and acknowledge that they've read and understand the general order.
And are all employees of the department required to comply with the general order?
Yes.
What rank is Firefighter McCue?
He is an H2 firefighter.
And does the general order apply to H2 firefighters?
It does. If you look on 0044, it has all the ranks that it applies to.
What steps, if any, did the department take to notify firefighters like Firefighter McCue of their duties under the health order and the general order?
We first off, sorry, I'm turning the phone off. First off, sent the general order out to everyone in the department via email and also to their human resources management system page. We also sent letters. We had individual meetings with people and ultimately made phone calls to some of the last folks who did not get vaccinated.
Do you know if anyone met with Firefighter McCue personally to discuss the general order and the health order?
I don't have the list in front of me, but I would assume that someone did, yes.
Okay. Chief, I'd now like you to turn your attention to the document that's in bait stamp McCue 4. And what you will be looking at is a letter dated October 8th, 2021, addressed to Edward McCue, signed by you.
Yes.
Do you recognize this letter, ma'am?
I do.
And what is the purpose of this letter?
To let him know that he has not met the vaccine requirement and what the vaccine requirement is and what he will be subject to if he does not meet that requirement.
President Nakajo, I'd like to make an objection.
The grounds, please.
the previous statement assumes facts that are not in evidence, and I request that statement be stricken from the record.
Okay, are you you're the representative of Local 798 to this particular case. Are you the official representative of this case? Can you confirm that, Firefighter McCue?
I mean, he's assisting me with representation.
All right, so I'm going to overrule that. The question was asked. Please answer the question.
Chief, do you recall the question?
No, please repeat.
I believe my question was, what was the purpose of this letter?
The purpose was to notify Firefighter McCue that he was non-compliant with the vaccination requirement, and what the vaccination requirement was, and what might happen if he did not comply with that vaccination requirement.
Now, I see that on the 4th paragraph of this letter, you wrote, quote, "If you do not receive your final dose by October 13th, 2021, you are not to report for duty and you will be subject to non-disciplinary separation." Do you know whether Firefighter McCue received his final dose by October 13th, 2021?
It is my understanding that Firefighter McCue has not been vaccinated.
And what is that understanding based on?
Firefighter McCue has not entered any proof of vaccination into the People and Pay database, nor to the department.
I'd like you to turn your attention, Chief, to the page bait stamp 0005.
Okay.
This is another letter directed to Firefighter McCue, dated October 15th, 2021, signed by yourself. Do you recognize this letter?
I do.
And what is the purpose of this letter?
It is to let Firefighter McCue know that we are proceeding with a non-disciplinary separation.
In the center of the first page of this letter, there is a large, long rectangular box. Can you tell me what this box is?
Yes, it's basically cut and pasted from the database, and it states that he is not vaccinated.
Now, in this letter, you informed Firefighter McCue that he could contest his separation at an administrative hearing. Did he do so?
He did.
I'd like to turn your attention now to the document that's been marked as Exhibit 3. That's the document bearing the bait stamp 0139. It is a letter on Department of Human Resources letterhead directed to Sean Buford of Local 798.
Yeah, I have it as 0081.
Oh, I apologize for that. Chief, do you recognize this letter?
Yes, it is the city counter to San Francisco Firefighters Local 798 proposals regarding COVID-19 vax policy and health orders from the Department of Human Resources, the city's Department of Human Resources.
And does this letter set out a protocol for dealing with firefighters who are subject to non-disciplinary separation?
It does.
And what is that protocol?
They will have an administrative meeting with me, the fire chief, and once they have had that, they will be placed on unpaid administrative leave, although they were permitted to use up to 2 weeks of paid accrued leave after the administrative meeting.
What was your recommendation with regard to Firefighter McCue after his administrative hearing?
That he be subject to non-disciplinary separation.
And was he placed on unpaid administrative leave after that?
Yes, I don't know the exact dates, but yes.
No further questions at this time.
Very much, Mr. City Attorney. At this point, Member McCune, firefighter, you have an opportunity for cross-examination with the witness.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Good morning, Chief. You don't remember me, but I had dinner with you when I was a probie at 2, and we had a nice time. And anyway, you're very kind to me. Anyway, and I thank you for this opportunity. I hope you allow me to ask some questions about the accommodation process, even though I was found not to be religious enough by, I guess, Lucy. Is that okay with you?
Yes, but I don't have the expertise around the accommodation process, and I was not involved in it in any way.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean the religious exemption saying I'm not religious enough. I mean accommodating unvaccinated firefighters being able to work in the fire department, which I think you just stated that the department said you cannot accommodate anyone who's unvaccinated, right?
Yes, but it was my understanding that this hearing is about your failure to follow direct orders, the general order and the health order. So I'll let the attorneys rule on that.
All right, well, can I speak to this? The attorney just asked the chief questions referring to Section 6 subsections A through D that have to do with the accommodating unvaccinated workers in high-risk settings. Actually, even when Sarah Scammell wasn't present, they asked her the same questions. So I think it's common sense. This is my one opportunity. Can I please ask about why we can't be accommodated when the health order says we can?
The department doesn't object to this line of questioning, but I reserve the right to object to specific questions.
All right, duly noted. Firefighter McCune, can you make sure that you ask questions in terms of what your reference are? So it's a question and an answer component of that. And then I did duly note the city attorney in terms of objecting to certain components of that. So with that, can we proceed?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Chief, what evidence did you use to make the decision you could not accommodate any unvaccinated firefighters?
There were multiple conversations with command staff at the time, with our with human resources and with our city attorney.
Okay, so there was no okay, that's okay. Can you please turn to page 022 of the health order and start? And I hate to do this to you, Chief. Do you want me to read it or you read it? Because it's kind of a lot. But I want the commissioners to hear what this health order is saying. Because, and can you read starting from Roman numeral 4, all businesses, and then read down to incarcerated people? I can also read it if you want to.
Yes. Can you let me know what page again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 022 of the health order, starting Roman numeral 4, all businesses.
So, okay, I'm looking at different numbers where I think so. Hang on.
And I object to the request that the chief read the health order into record. The health order is already in record. If the firefighter wants to point us to a specific sentence or section of this paragraph, that would be a more expedient process.
All right, so hold on for a second, Mr. City Attorney. Member McCune, with the question and the objection from the City Attorney, reading the whole statement by the chief seems to be the question in mind. Is there something that you can isolate to that point and make it a more expedient point of view?
Sure. In section on 022, Roman numeral 4, does the health order allow exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated to enter and work in high-risk settings by using testing and masking.
So I do not know what page you're referring to, because on my page 20022, it's something different than that.
Yeah.
Roman numeral 4, so I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Same.
And this is evidence that was provided by the city, so I don't know what to do.
Firefighter McCue, if I could suggest, is there, could you give us the full context of the paragraph number, perhaps, so that we can make sure we're all on the same page?
A paragraph number? On
the
McCue 022, which you provided to me, okay, Roman numeral 4, it starts on all businesses. Okay, there's all businesses, then you don't want me to read it, or you don't want her to read it. So right there, all businesses, 1 and 2, this is a section for exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated. Okay, this is the way to comply with the health order and enter in. This is kind of important. This is what this whole thing is about. Okay, so right there, does it state that exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated can enter and perform their duties even in high-risk settings, even if they worked full-time in high-risk settings, by subjecting to testing and masking? Do you want me to read it?
I don't have the page, and I need to see it in
All
front
right,
of me.
I'm not sure what for the commissioner. This is important. This is a lot.
Firefighter McCue.
One at a time.
Let me get some order, please, because again, the court reporter cannot follow any of this. So please, Mr. Rusky first.
Sure. I think I can clarify the discrepancy here. In the exhibits that the city submitted in connection with their pre-hearing statement, the Bates numbering for this page is 0019. I think for the document production that the city provided in response to something else, that it has different Bates numbering, and I think the firefighter is looking at that numbering. We should go 0019.
Yes.
That's my mistake. I'm sorry.
No, Firefighter McCue, that's not your mistake. We had a printing error on our side. I'm remembering now, so I apologize for that, and I apologize for the confusion.
All right, so at this particular point, excuse me, Firefighter McCue, now that we've had all of this input, do you want to, you've posed your question in terms of that question to the chief, or where are we at?
Yeah, my question is to the chief, but I want you guys to read it too, because you're the ones making this decision right now. It does Roman numeral 4, 1 and 2 say that exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated can enter and perform their duties in high-risk settings by using masking and testing?
Is that a question to the chief?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Eddie, can you ask that one more time?
No problem, Chief. And I'm so sorry it's so confusing. I've never done this before. I don't want to do this. But I just want to make Caesar dressing and go on calls. But all businesses, so 022, okay, Roman numeral 4, 1 and 2. Does this, in the health order, does it say that exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated can enter high-risk settings or even work there full-time as long as they subject themselves to weekly testing or biweekly testing and masking?
So yeah, it says any exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated must comply with at least those things.
Yes, and I'm going to get into the subsections A through D right after this.
Okay.
But we're all in agreement. The commissioners, the health order, complying with the health order, and thank you, Chief, that it does say that. Okay, so the idea that an unvaccinated person could never enter a high-risk setting is not really that true based on the health order.
I'm going to object. I'd ask the firefighter to please pose a question instead of testifying.
That's the suggestion. Firefighter McCue, it needs to be in the question format, please.
As long as you guys understand what I just said, I don't really, it's fine.
Okay, can we move on, please?
Sustain or whatever this legal thing is, it's fine.
All right.
I want the commissioners to understand the point I'm trying to make here, that
All right.
the chief understands too.
Firefighter McCue, and at this time, do you want to do a time check?
No, I got a bunch. Guys, come on. Hold on a second here. All right. So, all right. So if you refer to Chief, if you refer to 022 subsection A, can you please, and this is referring to that section, okay? Because the argument is that I would pose a risk, or anyone would pose a risk, too big of a risk for the department to allow me in because of the transmission of COVID-19. This is referring to 022 subsection A, okay? Can you please provide the number of documented cases of unvaccinated personnel wearing proper PPE who transmitted COVID to other personnel or members of the vulnerable population from the beginning of the pandemic to October 12th, all the time that
Objection, relevance. This question was posed during discovery. Commissioner Feinstein rejected the discovery request based on relevance, so it's not relevant to this hearing.
It's okay. It's not relevant whether or not I pose a risk of transmission, or that the department has to prove that.
So I'm going to rule on that to sustain it, ask it a different way, or move on, please.
Okay. Okay, one sec. Was the Chief, was there a mask mandate while I was working during the pandemic?
Yes, there was.
Was the department able? Did I comply with the mask mandate?
I don't know. I would assume you did, but I don't know. I'm not in your fire station following you around on calls, so I don't know.
Okay, so the department could ensure that I followed the mask mandate then, but they can't ensure that I follow it now.
Objection.
Is that what I'm led to believe?
What I said, Eddie, is I don't know if you complied with the mask mandate, and I wasn't by your side 24/7, so I don't know.
Question asked and answered. Please move on.
Okay. Okay. Can you, in subsection B on page 023, this is talking about if the department can accommodate using testing available to personnel, if they have the ability to test. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My question is, does the department have the ability to test and mask?
Yes.
Okay. Is the department right now offering masking and testing to unboosted firefighters to enter high-risk settings?
So there is still a mask mandate in place, and our members have until April 15th to be boosted.
So right now, I believe it's paid. Thank you, Chief. But right now, as we speak, and I'm going to read the email from Local 798 to everybody. This was the agreement. It's in my evidence. We are confident that this condition will be met. In addition, members who do enter into high-risk settings will be required to wear masks and subject to COVID testing. So the department is offering masking and testing right now to unboosted firefighters, correct?
We have testing available on a limited basis, and our members are required to mask.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Can you please turn to 034 of the health order? This is, I'm going to be talking about A034. This is section 5, okay? It says, to the extent allowed by state and federal rules requiring face coverings for unvaccinated people, wearing a well-fitted mask is not required in any of the following situations.
Sorry, for the benefit of the commission, since we have different page numbers, I believe Firefighter McCue is referring to page 031. I apologize, Firefighter.
It's fine, whatever. I'm glad you're here. Appendix A, it's Appendix A. Thank you for clarifying that, okay?
Duly noted.
All right. So, Chief, I'm assuming everyone's read this and is familiar with this. So is it your understanding after reading sections A, B, and on 035D, these are covering eating, sleeping, showering, and eating, sleeping, showering in indoor spaces, okay? Is it your understanding where it says right there, face coverings for unvaccinated people is not required in any of the following situations, that an unvaccinated person can remove their mask to shower, eat, or sleep? And I can read the sections exactly I'm talking about if you'd like to. Or like a little snippet, because I know we're in a time constraint.
So under activity and location-based exemptions, yeah, what are you referring to under there?
Yeah, A, B, and on the back it's D. Specifically the sentence just below that face coverings for unvaccinated people wearing a well-fitted mask is not required in any of the following situations. B, actively eating and drinking. Okay, it says we can remove to eat and drink. It'd be kind of hard for me to eat and drink with a mask on, right? On the back, it says that you can shower without a mask on, because I've heard this argument in these, which is like it's almost insulting. Not like you're insulting me, Chief, because I have a lot of respect for you, very kind to me, but this argument is insulting to me. That I'm going to be fired because someone can't watch me shower with a mask on. When it says clearly in the health order, unvaccinated people don't need to shower with a mask on or eat with a mask on.
Respectfully, I object to the members testifying again.
Dude, bro, it's a good point, right?
Let me, Firefighter McCue, and again.
Okay, then, Chief, is that your understanding of the sections I just read, or do you have a different understanding?
Yeah, in question format, please. Go ahead.
All right.
Thank you, Chief. Question was asked.
Okay, so my attorney just objected, and then what's next? So
my question to you, Chief, was: is your understanding of these sections I just referenced that an unvaccinated person is allowed to remove their mask while eating, showering, and sleeping in indoor spaces?
That's what it looks like to me.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
And again, if I can just state that we are here because the health order was disregarded and the general order was disregarded.
Well, that's the city's position. My position is not that. My position is I complied fully with the health order and that the city did not provide me an accommodation based on religious discrimination. The city and the department has the power and capability to accommodate me, and it's proven in the health order. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you are going to have an opportunity for closing statements as well. We still have other witnesses, so I just want to.
Oh, I know. This is important to me, bro. I like this. You know what I mean? This is important to me. But thank you for you know.
Yeah, respectfully, again, I understand the seriousness of this. It's just that there is, a fairness in terms of time and process as well. So you do have this opportunity to cross-examine the chief, but at some point or another. Thank you.
All right. So, Chief, in the general order, item 3 that you're using or whatever that's in the evidence, there's a section entitled exemptions. My question is, if you weren't going to accommodate anybody, why was there an option to use an exemption process?
Objection, argumentative.
What does argumentative mean?
Mr. City Attorney, you want to expound on your objection?
Sure. The point of the argument is that the member is not actually asking a question intended to elicit information. The member is making a point in question format, and that's the purpose behind the objection.
No, it's an honest question. If the department wasn't going to accommodate, why have an option for the exemption process? It's common sense.
Fire McCue, let's respect the process at this particular point. I'm going to sustain that objection, which means that she does not have to answer that question. You can pose it on a different framework and such, or you can make your statements in closing or at any other opportunity. Can we proceed, please?
What's that?
Can I interrupt for one moment? We have an 11 o'clock scheduled hearing, and I need to know what to do.
Madam Secretary, it looks like we're not going to be able to do that 11 at all. It looks like it's 11:11. The commissioners are both on here. I think it would be prudent to communicate with the member for the 11 o'clock hearing and ask what the options are.
Okay, she'd like to reschedule it to a different date.
All right, so I think we'll agree with that at this point, and let me consult with the rest of the commission. Thank you. Excuse us, Firefighter McCue, on that dialogue.
No.
Go ahead and continue your cross-examination. Out of respect, again, do you want to do a time check or you're okay?
I only got like maybe one more question for the chief, I guess, because I got a little distracted with all this stuff. So
I understand. Please proceed.
Okay, can you please turn to 023 of the health order, subsection D.
What's the title of subsection D?
I'm sorry, Chief. It's the whole basis the attorney's using to fire me because he can't be accommodated. I don't know the subsection, but it's D. It says whether the proposed.
Chief, I believe he's referring to what's in our documents as Bates 0020, subparagraph D with a parentheses.
Got it. Okay, I got it, Eddie.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. All right, my question is for this section. How does an unvaccinated, we're all in agreement that the health order allows an unvaccinated personnel with an exemption to work in a high-risk setting using masking and testing. How would it be costly, compromise workplace safety, decrease efficiency, or require personnel to do more of their work if I have a negative test with no COVID and I'm wearing a mask? Please answer, and I'm offering to pay for my test. How would I be those things? How would I be a risk? How would it be costly? How would I compromise workplace safety? And how would I decrease workplace efficiency when the health order allows me to enter those settings and perform my job?
The health order doesn't necessarily allow you to enter those settings, number one. And whether the proposed accommodation, sorry, I'm just reading this.
No, it's okay. Am I allowed to? Well, we already in our earlier questioning, we both agreed and we went over 022 Roman numeral 4, 1 and 2, where it specifically says that the health order does allow this. It allows, and I can read it again for the record, that any exempt personnel who are not fully vaccinated to comply with these health measures, a weekly test and a mask.
I object. The member's misstating the document. Chief Nicholson, you're welcome to review that paragraph, and I'd urge you to review it in full context.
All right, so I'm going to sustain that. Firefighter McCue, part of the issues are that you asked your question, but then there's multiple questions that you put on those questions, and then you move to another.
No, hold on. Commissioner. The issue is that I'm asking a question, and then they're saying something that's not true.
Okay,
right?
so why don't you state your question? Yeah, why don't you state your question so you can get it on the record with her answer a little bit more concise. Please continue.
All right, so referencing 023, Section D, page number 023, Section D, explain to me by using masking and testing how all those things would occur and I wouldn't be able to do my job. How would it be costly? Number one, if I'm paying. How would it decrease workplace safety? All these points.
So in terms of costly, we wouldn't be permitted to allow you to purchase whatever tests you want. We would have to purchase them. If we determine that, which we have, that we are not going to allow people who are not vaccinated to go into high-risk settings, then it would require other personnel to do more than their share of potentially hazardous work. Because if you remember back in the other section, at the top of it, it said at least those different things. And again, Eddie, I want to remind you that, we are here because you refused to follow a general order and a health order. And so how do I, that's why we're here.
I think we're here because the city is being completely unreasonable. I did follow the health order and I did follow the general order. I applied for an exemption. There's a way to accommodate, and the city's provided zero proof that they can't do these simple measures. The city's just saying we were not going to allow unvaccinated, but the health order gives us a way to allow unvaccinated people safely to do our job. And these subsections here, no one's providing any data, any proof, anything on why we can't do this. How am I, if I don't have COVID and I'm wearing a mask, how am I compromising workplace safety?
Firefighter McCue, again, it's not a question format. Have you concluded with the chief?
I think that was a question, Commissioner.
Well, you did ask that question. It was being a little bit repetition in terms of what you said, but that's fine. I'm just letting you know that, again, if you have any other questions for the chief, let's go through this cross. So that
all right. I don't. And Chief, I'm 100% serious. You don't remember the dinner. You'll always remember that. You're very kind to me when I was brand new. And so this is not, that's all.
Thank you very much, Firefighter McCue. The department, do you have a redirect in terms of the chief at this point?
Yes, very briefly. Madam Secretary, can I get a time check, please?
7 minutes and 26 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Chief Nicholson, I I'd like to follow up on a couple of the issues raised by Firefighter McCue. I'd like to turn your attention to the page that's been date stamped 0019. Actually, I'm sorry, the page 0020.
Okay.
Now, under subsection D, it states, quote, nothing under the order limits the ability of a business or governmental entity under applicable law to determine whether they're unable to offer a reasonable accommodation to unvaccinated personnel with an approved exemption. Did the department make a determination as to whether they were able to offer an accommodation to unvaccinated personnel with an approved exemption?
We did, and we were not.
Okay. And in making that decision, did the department consult all four of the factors listed on page 13 and 14 of the health order, A, B, C, and D?
Yes, we did.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you much, Mr. City Attorney. At this point, do any of the commissioners have any questions for the chief? But before we do that, Firefighter McCue, I want to do a time check so I know how much time you have left. Madam Secretary, what does the time clock look for the member?
1 minute and 28 seconds.
Okay, thank you
For me to do what? What do I have a minute for?
To present your case.
I have a minute to present my case?
And then you'll have closing statements at the conclusion.
When do I call my witness?
We still have the witnesses for the department to go through before you go through your witness.
You mean my opening statement? I already said my opening statement. That was my case.
Right. So basically what we're going to go through is the rest of the witnesses from the department. Then you have an opportunity to present your witnesses. Then we go into closing statement by the department, by yourself, and then the commission will go into deliberation. That's still what we have to go through.
With my minute, can I ask the chief a question or no?
That component has concluded.
Okay.
All right. So we're at the section where the commissioners now get to ask their questions of the chief.
Okay.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, this is Commissioner Morgan. I don't have any questions for the chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Covington.
Yes, I have just a couple questions. How do you prove that you have sincerely held religious beliefs? What rubric or how's that decision made?
Thank you, Commissioner Covington. If you're asking me, I had nothing to do with those decisions. That is more a more appropriate question for someone from HR.
Commissioner Covington.
I beg your pardon?
I apologize if I may. A member of the department's HR staff is on deck to testify, and so
would that be Lucy Chu?
Yes, and respectfully, that she may be able to answer your question.
Okay, thank you. It's a question I've had for a while. I would like an answer to it.
Me too, Commissioner, for about a year.
Miss Chu, are you there?
Oh.
So I think we've gone a little out of order here. I think you still have to put on the rest of your witnesses. Matthew, is that right?
Ms. Chu is here pursuant to the order from President Feinstein that we make her available for Mr. McCue to question. And so after the chief is done and after the commissioners have finished asking questions of her, the department will rest its case and Ms. Chu can be made available.
All right, so Commissioner Covington, with the narration for the city attorney, she will be available after the chief has concluded her component of being a witness. Is that satisfactory? So we can move?
Is that for all questions or just for that particular question?
Mr. Yang?
Related to a response from Ms. Chu.
Commissioner Covington, Ms. Chu is the individual we are designating to respond to questions related to the religious exemption.
No, I understand that. I was asking the vice president if that meant that I should hold all questions or just the questions that might be answered by her.
I think you
So
should.
that's a question for.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing myself recommend is hold the questions for Lucy Chu.
Yes, that's fine, but I can ask.
Yes, please.
I can ask other questions.
Yes, please proceed with your questions to the chief so that we can go through this. Mr. Yang, when Lucy Chu comes in, is she going to be a sworn in witness, Mr. Rusty?
The department does not intend to call Ms. Chu as a witness. However, pursuant to Commissioner Feinstein's request, we have made her available. So if the member would like to call her as a witness, he is able to do so. And if the commissioners would like to speak to her, I'm not entirely sure what the procedure for that is, but she is available.
Okay, I want to get clarity, Mr. Rusky, in terms of Lucy Chu, in terms of if we have her appear after the witness, the chief is concluded. I want to know what officialities that this body has with that.
Right. Brad Rusty, Deputy City Attorney. I believe that once the department has arrested its case in chief and the case turns to Firefighter McCue, that he intends to call her as a witness. Sorry, there's some noise outside my house. That he intends to call her as a witness. Is that right, Firefighter McCue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so at that time, she'll be sworn in. He doesn't have a lot of time to ask his questions unless the commission grants him more time. But after she testifies for indirect and on cross from the city, then the commissioners can ask their questions of Lucy Chu.
All right. Are you aware of that? And then also Firefighter McCue, and I just want you to be aware of it as well as we proceed. And that's why that time allocation is important. All right. So Commissioner Covington, do you want to proceed with the chief?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Chief Nicholson, at this point, we're way down the road, but I want to ask this question. If any members who have been denied exemptions for any reason, if they do decide to take the vaccine, will they be reinstated or is that door permanently closed? Where are we with that?
I believe, I'm not sure. April 15th comes to mind in terms of what the union spoke to HR about, but Lucy Chu may be able to answer that question better than I can.
Okay, can you give us a little more information about the April deadline?
It sticks out in my head as, but I can't be sure. As I know, it's now the deadline for the booster, and I'm not sure if it was also for if people could get vaccinated by then, if they were okay or not. But I don't have that information. Lucy Chu may have that information. I do not.
All right. Let me ask you, Chief, who has the ability to rescind any portion of these mandates?
That would be the health officer of the city and county of San Francisco.
And the name of the health officer is?
I believe it is Dr. Navina Baba.
Okay, so only Dr. Baba would be able to change anything in the requirements that have been in place since the mandate was formulated.
That is correct.
Okay, so there isn't any portion at all that the commission can change?
No, there's not.
Can
Can I say something really quick?
Excuse me, it's my turn right now. Hold on.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. Thank you. Now I lost my train of thought.
My fault.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's all I have for you right now, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Covington. At this particular point, this witness is going to be excused. You're going to be, at this point, you're not going to be calling any other witness at this particular time. Or, Mr. City Attorney, give me some information as to who else you're going to call.
No one else, Commissioner Nakajo. The city rests subject to rebuttal.
Okay, rebuttal with the witness in terms of the member when they present?
Yes.
All right, so Firefighter McCue, there's a time limitation as well as it's going to be your opportunity after I excuse the chief for you to call your witness. So if your witness is going to be Lucy Chu, then that time restraint is going to have some issues.
Can I request more time, please?
Yeah, can we get to that when we go through this process of excusing the chief?
Okay,
so at this point, without any objection, I'm going to excuse this witness. At this particular point, is this witness, the chief of the department, going to exit this meeting, or can I get advice, Mr. Rusky?
Oh, the chief is the department's representative, so she's allowed to stay in the meeting if she wishes to do so.
Okay, that would be the pleasure in terms of proceeding with that. Okay, so we're at the point now where I'm going to ask the member to present their witness, Mr. Firefighter McCue. How many witnesses do you have, just for information, before I roll on time?
Just this one, Lucy Chu, and all my questions should be yes or no, except for maybe one.
All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes for that. All right?
Okay.
All right, can we proceed? And then we're going to have to swear in Lucy Chu.
The clock. Am I adding 5 minutes onto his 128?
Yes, you are. And then we still got to get the court reporter to swear in this witness. Is that correct, Mr. Rusky?
That's right. I see her here in the meeting, but I don't know if she's going to go on camera. I think we would like to see her if she's testifying.
Yep. She's in.
Good afternoon, Lucy Chu. This is Vice President Steve Nakajo of the San Francisco Fire Commission with Commissioner Covington and Commissioner Morgan. Thank you very much for your cooperation. We're going to ask you some questions from the member, which was his request. But before we do that, we need the court reporter to swear you in. Can we proceed, please?
Give me one moment. Ms. Chu, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide in the matter now pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I cannot hear you, Ms. Chu.
How's this?
Yes, I can hear you now. Do you want me to start over?
No, I heard you. I do.
Thank you.
So we're going to proceed with the member asking question. He asked exactly what time is it again? 6 minutes. What, Madam Secretary?
6 minutes, 28 seconds.
All right. So Firefighter McCue, hopefully your questions are yes, no to Lucy Chu. Can you?
They are.
Can you proceed?
I think they are.
Can you proceed, please?
Yeah. Hi, Lucy. I'm Eddie. Were you responsible for denying my religious exemption request based on documentation insufficient to show a conflict between vaccination and sincerely held belief?
Termination was made in conjunction with the City Attorney's Office and with the Department of Human Resources EEO Division.
Okay, thank you. Was my request on time and signed?
Yes.
Was my belief religious?
Not according to the determination.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I need you to speak a little bit louder. I couldn't hear you.
Not according to the determination.
How did you come to that determination?
In consultation with the City Attorney's Office and the Department of Human Resources EEO Division.
Did I include quotes from religious texts?
Yes.
Did I include a letter from the Archbishop of San Francisco?
Yes.
Did I include political, social, or scientific reasons for the request?
I believe so, yes.
No, I did not. If I did, can you please point that out? I have my religious exemption paperwork as evidence. What political, social, or scientific reasons did I put in? Can I request a few? Can I request a little bit more time, guys? I think you know this is going to go pretty quick, but I really like to get through these questions because it's a big deal.
Yeah, we'll take in consideration the time that it takes approximately.
All right, thank you.
Based on what I can see right now, I stand corrected. I don't see anything political.
Do you see anything social or scientific?
Not social, not scientific.
Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate that. Did I specify a specific religion?
Yes.
Did I need to?
Yes.
No, I did not. It's based on the paperwork. Tips for processing religious accommodations, DHR paperwork, September 1st, 2021. That's for evidence. That statement's false. Did I quote church teaching? Did I include an explanation on how my belief could prohibit vaccination?
Yes.
Is it a belief system, lifestyle, or health choice?
You claimed it to be a belief system.
No, I did not. I'm Catholic, and what I said was, and I quoted the Catechism of the Catholic Church and also the quotes from the Archbishop that said that my spiritual experience that I had in 2006 led me to, you can read it again if you want. Maybe you should. I think you probably should because it's a big deal. Okay, did I quote fear of possible side effects?
No, you did not.
Did I quote a desire to live a pure lifestyle or a healthy lifestyle?
You did not.
Did I mention veganism?
No.
Did I say the vaccine would do more harm than good?
Did you hear me?
No, I can't hear anything.
Oh, I said no to the last question.
Did I say I distrust the science supporting the vaccine?
No.
Was my belief sincerely held in your expert? And I don't know how you or the attorney or whoever, it's insulting, can say whether or not my beliefs are sincere, okay? And this whole thing is disgusting. But in your opinion, is my sincerely held, is it sincere? Do I have a sincerely held belief?
Objection, Ms. Chu's. I don't believe Ms. Chu's personal opinion is relevant here.
Oh, it's very relevant, sir. Her and the attorneys are the one who said and checked the box that I don't have a sincerely held belief. So it seems to me that her opinion is more important than my personal experience or my religion.
All right, so Firefighter McCue, you've asked your question. I'm going to allow it, Mr. Yang. Go ahead and answer that question to the best you can, Lucy Chu.
No.
All right, go ahead.
What reasoning do you use to have that opinion after all the documentation I provided, my personal experience, that my beliefs are not sincere? I don't vaccinate my children, Lucy Chu.
You asked your question, Mr. Firefighter McCue, and let her answer the question if there's a question there.
Pope has stated that vaccination is okay.
Is the Pope? Oh my God! Is the Pope? Is that a church teaching? Does the Pope rule on church teaching? Is that a church teaching, or is the catechism? Do you have a degree in theology?
You're asking multiple questions, Firefighter McCue. Can you
give multiple answers.
Well,
do you have a degree? Do you have a degree in theology?
Firefighter McCue, out of respect to this witness, and again, you're getting close to badgering and showing some disrespect to the witness as well. So go ahead and ask your question, but ask it in a timely manner.
Okay.
Please.
I'm sorry. I feel I have been disrespected. It's kind of funny. It's a little different now. Anyway, do you have a degree in theology?
No.
Okay. Is the Pope's statements on his opinion of vaccination church teaching?
Pope is the head of the Catholic Church.
That's not the question I asked.
She asked the question. It was asked and answered, Firefighter McCue, as best to
Is the catechism church teaching?
Objection lacks foundation.
Actually, the huge foundation. I quote the catechism in my religious exemption request, and it is church teaching.
All right, so you got your statement, and I'm going to sustain that argument. Can you move on with a direct question?
I can. Was my request accompanied by a declaration or letter from an online church or pastor?
No.
As an adult, have I accepted any vaccinations in the past 5 years?
Objection lacks personal knowledge.
Okay, I'm going to.
The answer is no. The answer is no. Did I provide supporting documentation? I think we answered that. Does my religion have tenets, teaching, and structure?
Not familiar with that aspect.
It's answered. Move on.
Does my belief system address only human concerns like what to eat?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Might be irrelevant. Can you move on, please?
It's very relevant, sir. What I'm doing is I'm going through the entire document that I provide as evidence from DHR on how to process a religious accommodation. Dated September 1st, 2021. It's 100% relative.
All right. Can you direct can you direct it, please, to a direct question then?
Yes.
With respect to the member, I believe the member's time has expired.
All right, one more. I have two more questions.
One more question, Firefighter McCue.
One more question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you stand by your decision, Lucy Chu?
Not my decision. It's the city's decision, and yes.
Answer then ask. Move on. Thank you. All right. At this point, is there a rebuttal from the department, Cross?
Yes, the department has a couple questions for Ms. Chu.
Okay. Proceed.
Good morning, Ms. Chu. Do you have in front of you the letter from Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone that was provided by Firefighter McCue? And for the benefit of the rest of the commission, this is the document date stamped McCue 0114.
Yes, I have a document.
Okay, and have you seen this document before?
Yes.
And have you reviewed it before?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, does this document prohibit Firefighter McCue from receiving the vaccine?
It does not.
No further questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. At this particular point,
can I ask follow-up questions, right? Right?
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to allow you. You're out of time within that framework, so I'm going to ask you to conclude, and I'm going to excuse the witness within it. All right. So, Lucy Chu, I'm going to excuse you. Whatever you have witnessed at this particular proceedings, you will have to maintain to yourself.
I believe Commissioner Covington had a question.
Commissioner Covington has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That was the whole purpose. Lucy Chu, the commissioners have an ability to ask questions as well. You're still under oath. Excuse me for that, Commissioner Covington, please. You're muted.
Muted.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Ms. Chu, for being here. Can you give us some more information regarding how you determine whether or not a person's religious beliefs are sincerely held?
So after the members,
Can you please speak up? It's been very hard to hear you.
so after the member submits the document, I consult with City Attorney's Office and with the Department of Human Resources EEO division, and a determination is made from there.
You consult with them regarding their feelings about sincerely held. I don't understand what the deliberations are about.
I need to check with the city attorney. I'm not sure if I can divulge more information because it might be attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
If I may, Commissioner Covington, Ms. Chu, I believe under the rules of privilege, you can specify the criteria that is considered, but do not divulge any communications from the city attorney or to the city attorney. So you can
Yes, and it's also a general question. It's not a question that's only specific for this hearing. So
then what's submitted to City Attorney's Office and EEO is both the exemption request and any supporting documentations. And so they have the same documents that I do. They review it to take a look to see if it meets the parameter of an exemption request. And we discuss it and a determination is made at that point.
all right, that's rather vague. So I'll try to ask the question in a different way. Sincerity is a personal thing. So how do you determine if I'm being sincere if I compliment you on something? I mean, that's just a little question, even though this is a big thing we're talking about.
The things that we've looked at in general is the religion that's being claimed. And then there's also guidance on, what the religion allows or doesn't allow. So for example, away from Firefighter McCue's situation, I'll just give a broad example.
Yes, please give a broad example.
Say like a Jehovah's Witness, right? It's common knowledge they don't take anything foreign in the body. That's part of their religion, is part of their tenement. That's something that, can be verified, it's understood. And if they have any, I don't know off the top of my head, I would have to check, but if they had any statements about the COVID vaccination and whether or not, they allow their members to take it, that would be something we would take a look at as well to consult with before we make any decisions.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Can I object and say that because I'm not getting allowed more time, I'm not getting due process in order to state my case here?
Duly noted. You do have time, 5 minutes at the end for closing statement as well. This witness at this time.
Hi, this is Commissioner Morgan. I had one question for the witness.
Commissioner, please proceed.
Yeah. Probably not along this topic, but I should ask the chief, but I think Lucy Mike can answer it. On all the personnel, on a percentage of the people who didn't comply with the mandate, would you say it was about 1%, Lucy?
Probably even less than that.
It was even less than 1%.
Probably.
Yes, it was less than 1%.
So I guess you can say the mandates were pretty effective in a sense, right?
Yeah.
If compared to if we didn't have any. Another question. Of all the people, I don't know if you know this, but of all the people that were vaccinated, how many of them ended up in the hospital on staff, from the staff?
Unfortunately, I don't know that information.
You don't know that, or the ones who were vaccinated that tested positive? Do you know of any of them that went to the hospital or had real complications?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
I can speak to that, Commissioner Morgan.
Okay, great.
We did have early on in during COVID, we did have members that were hospitalized, and some are still off long term, and some will never be able to come back. That is not the case for those that were vaccinated.
It is for Shotfield, who has myocarditis.
I didn't get that part.
The veteran.
Hold on, Firefighter McCue.
Whoa.
Hold on,
Some respect, Eddie. Show some respect.
You're out of order, so just hold on for a second. Commissioner Morgan, you had the floor, please.
Yes, I was just trying to paint a picture in my head here, and just keep this some kind of journalized picture. We keep hearing these bad things about the mandates, but I think in a sense it had a good outcome to some degree. I just want to remind everybody of that. And I remember before they came out with the vaccines, the numbers were skyrocketing and people were dying. And I know one thing for sure, doing nothing wasn't working. Yeah, I know that for sure. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. But I figured one thing out. Doing nothing wasn't working at that point. I was just trying to clarify that. Now, all of the religious exemptions and all that, it sounds like the city tried to make accommodations. I mean, that might be questionable. I don't know. But it sounds like they did. Any entity doesn't want to be, in a bad situation where they can put the public at risk. And I'm sure firefighters understand that. But other than that, I think I'm going to stop there. And I'll let you proceed. Okay?
Thank you very much, Commissioner Morgan. I'm going to excuse the witness at this point so that we can proceed. So at this particular point, Lucy Chu, you're going to be excused. Please don't discuss any of this rebuttal information at all with anybody. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're at the point now where we're going to go into closing arguments. Mr. Rusky, go ahead.
Just before we move into closing arguments, we have to make sure that what evidence is in the record is clear. So the department has presented exhibits 1 through 3, I believe.
Yes, the department moves that those documents be moved into evidence.
And I did the same.
As well as the Firefighter McCue has submitted his evidence as well.
Does the department have an objection to Firefighter McCue's exhibits they want to present?
Well, the exhibits weren't provided with any context, and there were no witnesses presented to authenticate them. So that is our only objection. Otherwise, there's no objection.
You can respond. Go ahead, Firefighter.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. My motion or whatever is just to put in the evidence, especially the stuff I submitted by email yesterday, be submitted as evidence.
Okay. And just so that we're clear in the transcript, I believe that you submitted a 16-page PDF.
Yes.
And then also a separate document from the fire department's physician's office. That's 4 pages.
I did. I did. Yes.
And Commissioner, I think you were inclined to allow those to be admitted, right?
And allow that to be submitted. Yes.
All right.
I'm sorry, this is the court reporter. I need to clarify what number or letter those are for the record.
So we will, the 16-page PDF would be Exhibit A, and the 4-page newsletter from the physician's office will be Exhibit B.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, but there was some over talking. I didn't hear about the department's exhibits being what the result of those were.
The commission has admitted the department's exhibits 1 through 3.
Thank you.
And Court Clerk, are we clear now?
Yes, thank you, sir.
All right. Mr. Rusky, are we clear now?
We are.
I'm going to move into closing arguments. Again, Firefighter McCue, you have 5 minutes as the department for closed comments. So you do have time, 5 minutes in terms of that at this particular point. So if there's no objection in terms of process, the department will proceed first in terms of closing arguments, and then the member will give closing arguments. The department still has an ability to give a rebuttal if there's any time left out of the 5 minutes, and then the commission will go into deliberation. Having said that, City Attorney Yang, are you ready to present your closing arguments?
Yes, Commissioner.
Proceed.
Thank you, Commissioners. The key facts before this commission remain undisputed. The health officer, in her informed and educated judgment, determined that in order to protect the city from COVID-19, all employees who enter certain high-risk settings must be fully vaccinated. Chief Nicholson, in her informed and educated judgment, followed the guidance set forth in the health order and determined that it would be impractical for firefighters like Firefighter McCue to perform the essential functions of his job as a firefighter without entering a high-risk setting or coming into contact with vulnerable members of the public. Following the factors set forth in the health order, the chief determined that Firefighter McCue regularly comes into contact with people who are unvaccinated or vulnerable. That's undisputed. The chief determined that the department cannot ensure compliance with the mask mandate. That's undisputed. And the chief determined that allowing Firefighter McCue to go unvaccinated would strain the department's resources and put more work on the backs of his vaccinated colleagues. That is undisputed. It is also undisputed that Firefighter McCue knew of his duty to get vaccinated and chose not to comply. His decision left the chief with no choice under the health order but to recommend that Firefighter McCue be separated, subject to a non-disciplinary separation. It is the fundamental duty of a firefighter to protect the public. Firefighter McCue cannot perform that duty without being vaccinated. Thus, the commission has little choice but to uphold the recommendation of the chief and separate Firefighter McCue from his position. I reserve the remainder of my time for rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, City Attorney Yang. At this particular point, Firefighter McCue, you're going to be able to get 5 minutes to do closing statement, but you informed the commission before that Local 79 Representative Mr. Gilbert is also been attending. Do you wish him to give a statement? I think you indicated that before.
I do, but if I run out of time, thank you, Commissioner. I'm sorry. If I do, but I want to say my piece, and then if there's time, he can. If not, it's whatever. It's you guys can make the decision.
All right, go ahead. You wanted your 5 minutes at this particular point. Are you ready to give your closing argument?
I am. Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
All right. Thank you. Contrary to what the city attorney just said, I think I disputed those things he just said were completely disputed in my in this whole hearing. So I hope you guys can see that. This is a complex issue, but my position today has two main points. Whoever was in charge of denying my religious exemption based on their judgment or the document from DHR issued September 1st, 2021 in the evidence has made a mistake or is committing discrimination. Secondly, the health order allows unvaccinated workers who enter high-risk settings with an approved exemption to enter those settings to perform their duties with an N95 and weekly testing. I am not choosing to be separated, as the attorney says. The chief is choosing to not use common sense and the protocols allowed in the health order to let me work. The city attorneys and chief are misrepresenting my position in the actual health order. I in no way want to change a health order. I have fully complied with the health order by submitting a religious exemption on time. I provided my personal testimony, documentation from a religious leader, quotes from religious texts. I answered up follow-up questions about my children's medical history, even though I found them offensive and irrelevant. People with my same faith have been deemed religious enough. Whoever made that decision, they've been deemed religious enough, but not me. I requested numerous times to talk with and understand the process by which that determination was made because it is obviously a mistake or discrimination. I was denied that opportunity until now, and I thank Commissioner President Feinstein for that opportunity. I was told the appeal process was now done through a grievance with the union. I complied with that process, and it's still pending. Once again, I provided all those things. Commissioners, am I crazy to consider the possibility that I've been discriminated on based on the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII? Am I a conspiracy theorist with a political agenda, as City Attorney Yan stated in his email to you? I believe I have made a very logical, common sense point supported by evidence found in the health order. Please do the right thing. Be the check and balance to the chief's harsh, discriminatory recommendation for a separation. Let me remind you, it's only a recommendation. Don't believe the city attorney, who I paid for in my whole life, by the way, until July, who says you have no choice. Choose to let me work safely by following the guidelines of masking and testing while not violating my God-given conscience. Choose to let me serve the city that I was born and raised in. Choose to let me and the remaining vaccine-free firefighters to continue to support our families doing the job we love. Some of us are actually pretty decent in our profession. The health order, God's divine grace, and your own mind and conscience allows that choice. As they say in the SFFD, do the right thing. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And also, I have natural immunity and a valid religious exemption. If I have a mask and no COVID, it is common sense, guys. It's common sense. If I don't have a virus, how can I pass it to someone? That's all I got.
Firefighter McCue, there's time left. Representative Gilbert from 798, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you, Vice President Nicasio. I would just like to make a quick statement regarding Firefighter McCue. He has been an asset to this department. He has worked very hard over his career here, and he is an asset to the city. The law has made it very clear at every level that religious and medical accommodations can and should be made, and further, they have been made in several other, nearly every public safety organization around us in the Bay Area and the state of California is making these accommodations. I've seen no evidence or indication that the San Francisco Fire Department, one of the largest and most successful fire departments in the state of California, is unable to accommodate a very small number of people. Eddy has been an incredibly hard worker and again is a true asset to this city and this department. And I hope that you will all listen to the points that he made in the health order. He's spelled out his case very clearly. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gilbert. City Attorney Yang, rebuttal.
Yes, briefly, please.
I know you're on mute to me.
Thank you very much. A few comments in response to the comments made by Firefighter McCue and Mr. Kepler. With regard to the religious exemption process, you heard testimony today from Ms. Chu that Firefighter McCue's, the document submitted by Firefighter McCue from Archbishop Cordileone explicitly leaves open the question of whether or not an individual wants to be vaccinated. According to Archbishop Cordileone, it's a personal choice. It's not a prohibition. Therefore, there's nothing about the Catholic religion that prohibits Firefighter McCue from getting the vaccination. His decision not to get vaccinated is a personal choice, not a religious one. What's more, you heard Firefighter McCue argue that the health order allows individuals to continue working unvaccinated if they are tested and masked. That is not true. The health order leaves open that question to the judgment of the individual departments and the health officer. And in this case, Chief Nicholson, in her informed judgment as the chief of the department, as the duly appointed chief of the department in charge with safeguarding the health and safety of San Francisco residents, made the decision that it would be impractical to allow some members of the firefighting staff, the core firefighting staff, to remain unvaccinated. It would be impractical to require certain firefighters to stay outside while other ones rush inside and perform CPR or provide services to unvaccinated or vulnerable city residents. Now, on top of that, you've heard Firefighter McCue state that he's just asking for the right to continue to work. And I appreciate that. I have nothing to say about his performance or his character. What I do have to say is that the commission does not have to approve his choice to remain unvaccinated. The commission's duties are not only to safeguard the rights of the individual firefighters, but to safeguard the health and safety of the residents of the city and county of San Francisco. And the health officer, the duly appointed health officer, in her judgment, following the best advice and the best science available, has determined that it is unsafe for certain unvaccinated employees to come into regular contact with members of the public. Mr. Gebler stated that the San Francisco Fire Department is one of the largest and most successful fire departments in the country, and I completely agree with that. And in order for that to remain true, we have to allow the department to continue to make the decisions that would best serve the people of San Francisco and best serve the department's own fire readiness. And Chief Nicholson has made that decision, and the health officer has made that decision. And so, given that it is undisputed that McCue is not in compliance with the health order, the commission, we respectfully request that the commission uphold the chief's recommendation.
All right, thank you very much, City Attorney Yang. At this particular point, the commission will go into deliberation. Is there any thing that I need to deal with, Mr. Russi, and before we adjourn the commissioners in terms of deliberation? At this point?
I believe we have to take a vote to go into deliberations.
Okay, so let me go through that process first then. Commissioners, I need a motion to go into deliberation.
Closed session or open session.
All right, that question now is being posed to go into closed session in terms of deliberation process.
Yes, Commissioner Morgan, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Morgan moves. Commissioner Covington seconds. The vote, please.
President Nakajo, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
It's unanimous. The commission will now go into closed session at 12:08.
Before we go in closed session, I want to thank everyone and the members as well, members of the public, Mr. Yang, court reporter, for that process of local representative Gilbert 798 for attending this morning. With that, we're going to go into closed session. Everyone-
Madam Court Reporter, I'm going to put you into attendee, and then I'll bring you back out.
All right, everyone needs to exit. Anything else we need to announce, Mr. Rusky, or else otherwise we'll go into deliberation?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Please exit this room except for the commissioners and Mr. Rusky. All right. Okay. I just wanted to know if it was on me. Okay.
Okay, hold on.
And we'll wait for you to log off. Perfect.
The look of shame.
So I sent Matthew Yan an email, and I called, obviously, Mr. McCue.
Okay, so let us know when you want to get back in.
Lori?
Yes.
Can you please email the department's exhibit description like you did for the case that I was on last week?
Yes, I sure will.
Okay, thank you. Francie's out of town, so I figured I would ask.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like Mr. Yan and Mr. McCue are both back on. We are back in open session. The time is 12:51. Report on any action taken in closed session as specified in California Government Code Section 54957.1A5 and San Francisco Administrative Code Section 67.12B4.
All right, we're back in open session. Mr. Rusky.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brad Russi, City Attorney's Office. On behalf of the commission, I'll report under the statutory sections that the commission secretary read, as well as the fire commission's procedural rules, that by a unanimous vote of the commissioners present, the commission voted to find that the department proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the member failed to comply with the city health officer's vaccination order and the chief of department's general order concerning vaccinations, and upheld the chief's recommendation of a non-disciplinary separation in this case.
Thank you, Mr. Rusky. Madam Secretary.
Vote to elect whether to disclose any or all discussions held in closed session as specified in San Francisco Administrative Code, Section 67.12A. Is there a motion?
Yes, Commissioner Morgan. I'd like to make a motion to keep it in closed session.
To not disclose?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a second?
A second. I think the member had his hand up. I don't know.
We're going through a motion right now, Commissioner. So
Yeah.
let's
I second.
Okay, and President Nakajo or Vice President Nakajo, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
To not disclose?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Secretary, proceed.
Item 3, adjournment.
Okay, may I have a motion adjourn?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you.
Oh, can I say something real quick?
There's no public comment at this point, Firefighter McCue.
Oh, all right, no problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Covington. Second the motion, please, for adjournment.
Second.
All right, thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you, all the members of the public. Thank you very much. This session is closed.
Wait, 1 minute.
Hold on.
Brad?
I just wanted to state so that the member knows that the commission will issue a letter probably tomorrow specifying this decision that the commission made today, that the member has a right to an administrative appeal with an administrative law judge at the State Office of Administrative Hearings. And the letter will state that and provide some proposed rules that would govern that appeal. That the commission will also, once the transcript is prepared in this matter, approve findings of fact that support this decision that was made today. And you will get a copy of that when they are approved.
Thank you. And then I'll be getting a lawyer and personally going after anyone responsible, not hiding behind the city money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned at 12:54.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.